Hello everyone, this is Hamsa, the co-founder of Wisely Wise. I welcome all of you today to our webinar on digital marketing for travel and tourism businesses and how you can reach your clients online. I'm going to start off with the webinar with a brief introduction to who Wisely Wise is. So basically, we are a digital and AI startup with a focus on digital transformation. Our vision is to create a better digital future for organizations of all sizes. And our mission is to innovate and invest in our digital platform. Wisely is an online cloud-hosted platform where you can create unique digital experience solutions, host your created solutions, and manage everything online. All of this at a single price and lowest total cost of ownership. On to the typical objectives of any travel and tourism business. The first most common objective is to move to top rankings in the industry, gain a larger share of the increasing number of tourist arrivals, bring a better focus on quality of tour targeted, and improve efficiencies through digital transformation. So, based on our experience, we have seen one of the biggest digital marketing insights is, and I will quote Airbnb here, that content is becoming more and more important for any business for that matter online. According to Airbnb, content focus has led their business growing rapidly at a whopping 748% year-on-year increase in United Kingdom and about 946% year-on-year increase in Italy. So those are really huge numbers here in terms of growth, and content seems to be the main focus in this area. So why are we talking about this change in behavior of customers? Why are we talking about everything going digital? There's this concept of digital transformation, and for the sake of understanding of those who are not familiar with digital transformation, I'll give you just quick brief here. Going by statistics, we've seen that today there are about 1 billion digital natives. That means about 1 billion and more people who are born into this digital environment. They know nothing beyond digital. They are so used to it. It's part of life. You have about 70 billion connected devices all over the world, yes. And of course, I'm sure pretty much most of us are using smartphones, iPads, all the digital devices here. And another important point is that every 18 months, this data is doubling. So that's why this concept of digital transformation is now taking up mind share in a lot of organizations, and they need to work their strategies as to how they can utilize all this data digitally and influence their customers. Giving you a bit of perspective here, as I mentioned earlier, obviously the consumer behavior has changed thanks to digital transformation. You find that about 85% of the enterprise buyers are researching online already, right? They do all their homework. 57% decisions are already made before they actually come down and meet you in your business. And about only 12% of the piece of customers' mindshare is what you can hope to gain in this global market space. So you can see that customers basically are very different. The behavior is totally different. They buy differently today. Digital is impacting every stage of the customer's decision marking path from awareness to post-purchase. So in terms of the travel and tourism business, how is all this adding up? And why should you be knowing what are the trends that are affecting a tourism business? We come to the next insight, and that's about smart tourism. There's a global trend in tourism, and which has been adopted by China right in 2014. And this is about information-oriented tourism, because today's travelers and tourists are very intelligent, and business travelers always do their research online as well. This is the core of smart tourism, is efficient information service for tourists, as we see that tourists have started doing a lot of research even before they actually come to you and approach you as a tourist business. And everything is on the cloud, it's on the mobile, it's on social platforms, and we're talking about a lot of data, as in big data. So why does this all matter to you? It's pretty simple. Today, the buyer's journey has been very clearly defined. You have three main stages of the buyer's journey, and for the sake of clarity for you guys here, I'll just briefly take you through this. The first stage is awareness stage, where there is a prospect who is actually feeling that he has a need to do something, there's a problem or there is an opportunity. There is a need for someone to do a bit of research, maybe educational research, to have a better understanding of what their problem is and what should be the potential solution. The consideration stage is for people who have clearly understood what they're looking for, okay, in terms of their problem or opportunity. They're more committed in terms of doing actual research and understanding what is available to them and what are the methods they can use to solve their particular problem and opportunity. And the third is the decision stage, where the prospect has now decided on their solution strategy, method, and approach. So they've done all their research online, and now they are compiling a long list of all available vendors, what products are being given by these vendors in their solution strategy, and they would research this to understand and shortlist as to who they should be making that final purchase decision with. So that's the buyer's journey for you. Now, from the Wisely Wise perspective, how do you think that you would gain that market share from these customers who are really, really smart and working online? What we advocate to our customers is that you got to go out there and you have to disrupt your customers. What I mean by this is, first of all, if you look at the left side, you have a customer, and typically in the past, this customer would have their own original purchase path, which is based on their own decisions and criteria, right? Now, how do you disrupt this? You need to disrupt this path, and you need to help that customer make that decision based on your criteria. Now, this sounds very easy, but how do you emphasize on your criteria, and how do you get that customer interested in evaluating your criteria? And this is pretty simple. First, you need to really educate your customer with new ideas for business needs. You need to provide expert perspectives, and you need to give convincing reasons for that customer to take action now. And hopefully that action has to be with you, right? So these are the drivers changing the purchase path, and you should actually focus on this area as well. So, based on what I've just told you, you've seen that content has now become more and more important. It's become an enabler. But the problem here is that content is everywhere. Now everybody is digital, everybody's got smart devices with them, everybody has access to Google, everybody does research online. So there's a lot of content being generated every single day, which is hitting all your customers. So how do you expect your customers to start focusing on content that's relevant to them and content which is specifically driving them towards your business? So again, there are certain categories of this content journey that you need to consider from the buyer's perspective. First of all is the unawareness stage, where you have prospects who are really not aware of what your services are. And as a travel and tour operator or a government agency, what kind of information would be relevant to them and get them interested in knowing more, right? So basically the first stage has a goal of raising awareness. And how would you do that as a business using content? You would need to use relevant blog posts, infographics, viral videos, articles, industry data, and podcasts. Moving on, once this customer goes to the awareness stage, the goal changes here. It's to demonstrate value of solving a problem, right? So again, you need to have a lot of specific blog posts around that, value of solving that particular problem. Your infographic content, your videos, articles, and data needs to start reflecting that, value of solving a problem data. The third stage is when the customer is interested. And in this stage, the whole goal is to promote interest in finding a solution, right? So this is where you would organize webinars where you can hopefully reach your clients directly one-on-one. You have landing pages where you direct your interested clients to visit. You have ebooks which would add value to folks who are visiting your website or your landing page that they can download and read from. You have informative white papers, and you provide a lot of data in terms of reports, and you kind of try to get more interest going in that potential customer. This brings us to the next stage, and that is research. And here the goal is basically to help with comparisons, right? So you need to provide, again, a lot of different type of content like case studies, testimonials, product guides specific to the products and services that you are providing as a business, fact sheets, product demos, ROI calculators, right? And then the final stage is where the decision is going to be made, and you need to encourage your customer to make that decision in your favor. And how do you do that? You could potentially have video tutorials explaining to them how they can approach you and why they should come with you, right? So these are the basic categories that you need to take care of. And remember, your content piece has to go specific to various stages that I just discussed. Moving on to what your peers are doing, right? If you can see, a lot of articles are coming in typically from the travel and tourism point of view. So 7 amazing places in Seattle you probably never heard of. People are focusing on toy shops around the world. So you're basically providing them a bit more value add in terms of what a particular space or a place is famous for. How can you have the best, healthiest vacation activities, exploring the art and artistic side of a particular place. So this is some example of how content is influencing your potential customers. And this is what your peers are doing at the moment. If we move on to what Wisely-Wise is doing to disrupt travel and tourism, you have a number of digital elements that are now being influenced, and we begin with online buyer paths, which I just explained to you. Obviously, digital advertising is something that all of you would be familiar with. So here we're talking about Google ads and Facebook ads. Social media, as I discussed with you just now, is becoming very important, and it's also an important channel for you to reach out to your potential customers. All that content that we talked about needs to go through social media as well. Content management is very important. So from now on, it's no longer about, piling on a lot of content and hoping that your customers will read through it. You need to manage your content, and I have already spoken to you in detail as to what particular category, what kind of content should be used. And you have something called community management. So more than just sharing that content, you need to make sure that people are engaging with you as a business, right? So not only are you providing them a lot of content, there should be an avenue for them to reach out to you, for you to go back and answer all their queries. So that is possible only if you create a community of folks with common interests, and where you can kind of create that engagement and interest and loyalty, right? So we move on to today's scenario. Unfortunately, this buying path is broken today, right? Nobody really has thought through it, the various stages of the buying journey. Most of the people will just run Facebook ads, and they'll just run those ads and pray that their prospects get interested, and then they come over for respective services from your business. It's a very static approach. There's no involvement there. There's no consistency. They just post whenever they feel like, whatever content at any point in time. And obviously there is no real engagement except maybe a few likes and maybe a few comments, but there's no real engagement and involvement from their side and your side as a business, right? For Wisely-Wise, the vision is to create a digital marketing strategy, to design a seamless buying path, to focus on data-driven marketing, which is becoming very, very critical. And of course, to achieve all of this, you need to set up a lot of automation tools, right? So how do we do it here? We talked about your objectives, right? About moving to top rankings in the industry, gain a larger share of tourist arrivals, get a better focus on quality of tourist segments targeted, improve efficiency through digital transformation, right? And how could we help? What we do is you get a unique customer acquisition strategy. You can better target tourists using our expertise. You can trust us with your digital transformation, where we provide you a platform which is owned by you, meaning all that content that goes in is yours. You have automation tools being used. We provide a lot of services and education and training where we provide a lot of guidance online and in classrooms, right? Moving on to digital marketing. So what is digital marketing? Now, I'm sure all of you are very interested about what are the different elements of digital marketing. And it's not just for the tourism and travel business. This would be applicable for almost any business. The first is you need to have a strategy and plan in place. What does that mean? That's core consulting, right? Where we need to come and sit down with you, figure out what your business is, what's making sense for you, and we have a methodology to do that. It's a very detailed exercise because here we need to research on what kind of content that goes in, which is relevant to your business. So I've spoken about those various phases in the buyer journey and stages in the buyer journey, right? So we'll have a whole bunch of content which goes out specifically targeted under each of these categories. So we need to really focus on what that content is, and you as a business should be very sure what content makes sense for you as a business and what is adding value for your potential customers at that various stages that they are in as a buyer. The next thing is the channels. You have a lot of social media channels available right now, right? So you guys are all familiar with Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, so on and so forth. So there's a lot of research that needs to be going in terms of what channels will make sense for your business. So basically, where does your particular client spend most of his or her time, right? So mostly, in most cases, Facebook is obviously a place where you could find your potential customers. You have LinkedIn, you have Instagram, and the approach to all these channels, the strategy behind each of these channels is pretty different. The kind of content or the type of content, whether we're talking about videos that are actually running or the different kind of pictures, infographics that go into these various channels are very specific for various channels, right? So there's a lot of research. You may not have realized that, but when we're talking about strategy, you really need to look into these areas in greater detail. Technology goes without saying, so you need a lot of automation to help you reach a global audience, right? The advantage of the digital world today is that your customers can come from anywhere in the world, right? So you may be a travel and tourism operator, let's say from China, right? You may not necessarily be only targeting your Chinese audience. You may be looking at European audiences. You may be looking at audiences from the United States who may be potentially interested in coming and visit the places that you are advertising in your travel business, right? So your overall audience is much larger. In fact, it's the whole world, right? So you need technology to automate a lot of these processes of content sharing, automating a lot of analysis, data. Everything has to be automated. So use technology. Social, of course, we all know the importance of going social, Twitter, LinkedIn, so all those, which social channels make sense, as I mentioned earlier. You need to look into that. And metrics and reporting, as everything has to be pretty scientific now, you need to keep analyzing what kind of data is making sense, what kind of content is making sense for your business, what is getting you more engagement, right? More people liking your content, more people interested in coming to your website and analyzing or going through more of your content. What's the traffic like? What's the conversion rate? So there's a whole bunch of data which is running through, which means there has to be a lot of analysis, there has to be a lot of metrics in place, which will help you evaluate whether your content strategy is working, whether your social media strategy is working properly, what tweaks you need to do in that entire process in order to make it more effective and efficient and more targeted in terms of your target audience. You need to research on your target audience as well. So if you do that correctly, you'll be able to send the right kind of content to the right target audience or people who would find value in that particular content, right? And of course, reporting. So this is the strategy and plan which any business, in fact, has to spend a substantial amount of time before they actually start, going through the digital marketing process. Coming to the next aspect that you should look at is the creatives or the actual content creation. So this is an end-to-end content management that we offer in YPY. So what do you mean by creatives and content creation? You have different types of content like blogs, right? You have different kind of images. You have explainer videos. You have white papers. You have terms and conditions that need to go into your social channels, right? So this involves a whole lot of creativity, writing skills. You need to collate and combine related information, related blogs. You need someone to curate information. You need someone to write those relevant articles so that, things are very interesting for your customers. Keep in mind that there's a whole bunch of content that is available readily to any customer online. So you need to make your particular content very interesting for your potential customers. So they find it interesting and they decide to follow you and visit your website or your blogs more often or your social channels, right? So this is very, very important in terms of how you're going to go about your actual content creation. What's the strategy? What's the content management? All that goes into this. And if you notice, every aspect of this is a lot of work. So when we're talking about explainer videos, you need someone who's, able to capture or grab someone's attention within 2 minutes or 3 minutes of a video. You need images that are interesting to people to look at, and at the same time is giving a lot of value back to your prospective customers. So it has to be relevant. It needs to make sense to your potential target audience. And of course, your blogs have to really be really high quality, right? And informative, because don't forget, here we're talking about content which is also not only giving value to your prospective customers, but also at the end of the day is providing a lot of information about the kind of products or the services that you are providing. What are, for example, for tourism, what are the places that you're talking about? What are the packages that you run? Why they should come with you? What's the value add going with you? And talk more about that actual destination as well. Right? I'll move on to the next slide. So we have digital tech. So these are basically how the actual digital marketing is split up into. You have MarTech, content marketing, and social media. So I'll go in through a bit more details for the benefit of all of you. You have MarTech, which is our platform where we're talking about digital technology, right? Now, the first one you all are aware of is website. But I'm sure many of you don't realize the value of a website in today's digital world, right? I'm pretty sure most of you would have been seeing websites for a lot of years. And until the past, it was just, an address online. But today, your website is your core engine to run all your content marketing, your digital marketing, your social media strategies on. So the website suddenly has become a very, very important part of your digital marketing strategy. So if you have not really focused on your website, you're not really focused on what goes into your website, how it looks, what's the content, you should definitely give it a thought and start working on the strategy around developing that website of yours. The second is the SEO, the search engine optimization. I think most of you would be aware of. You would always like your websites to start ranking higher on Google, for example. So that involves a lot of keywords that go in, which is specific to your particular business. You need to do a lot of research on that. Your blog or your content has to be SEO optimized. Your website itself has to be SEO optimized. So there's a whole lot of combined SEO activities that you need to do to make sure that people can actually find, your content and your articles or your blogs. If you don't get this right, you're going to be doing all that content and nobody will be able to discover that content when they search for related services online. So please take a note on these two important aspects, website and SEO, very, very important. Talking about a newer technology, we're talking about chatbot on Facebook. Now, for those of you who are completely new to the world of chatbots, we have from Wisely Wise, we actually create chatbots powered by artificial intelligence. And if you visit our website, you'll actually see a chatbot on the right side. You can actually click and start talking to it. And the beauty is, when you chat with a chatbot, it will respond to what you're asking, but there is no human element behind that, right? So if you implement a chatbot on your business Facebook page, for example, you will always be online. Your clients or potential, as I mentioned, are global. They may come at different time zones and check your website, right, or your Facebook page. And you may or may not be open at that time, right? So somebody in the midnight, your time, comes in, but you have a chatbot, which in case they come there and they ask for certain questions, your chatbot should be able to provide them that related information and also start getting them interested in exploring more of your services, right? So that's the power of chatbots. So go check out our website to understand how that works. Then you have other things like Google registration forms and databases. Nowadays, Google is very powerful. So you can have your online databases and have people register their details there. So these are a few things in which you can actually use digital text to your advantage, right? Moving on to content marketing, right? You need specialist knowledge over here because the whole idea here of content marketing at the end is to attract your potential customers, and you also need to convert them to buy your products and services, correct? That's the whole point behind content marketing. So what goes into content marketing, and I'll briefly run through that again for your benefit. You have email automation that goes in. I'm sure many of you would have visited certain websites, you would have subscribed, and then you start getting a whole bunch of emails giving you a lot of information, value add, giving you information about discounts, encouraging you to visit the website again. So that's all a part of the strategy behind email automation. And there are a lot of tools available out there for email automation as well. You have a lot of integrations that are required. So when we're talking about, for example, you having your website, for making that website a powerful engine for your overall digital marketing, you would require a lot of integration. So when we're talking about email automation, you need certain software that needs to be integrated to your web page or website, right? So you have a lot of integrations of various softwares that will help you in this process of content marketing. You definitely need a landing page, right? So if you're talking about a specific service or product that you're providing, you need that information to be provided on a landing page, right? So you may run certain ads for your target audience, and where does that audience go to, right? So you need to direct them towards a landing page where they can reach in and they can provide some of the information, like, you can collect the emails, you can ask them for certain information or ask them to fill a form, and in return they'll get to know a lot about the services or the products that you are providing. Reports are very important aspects of digital marketing, because without reports you'll never know how your digital marketing strategy is working. So I think by now you would have realized that this whole concept of digital marketing is not as simple as just running Facebook ads and having some content running in social media, right? You will have seen there's a technology aspect to it as well. You have your website. If your website is not fast enough, it's not performing well, it's not going to give you the results even after you run your content marketing strategies on it, right? It has to have SEO in place. Your whole bunch of technical integrations have to be in place. You need your email automation running smoothly. So all these, the sales funnel that exists within your website has to be in place, right? So I didn't mention about the sales funnel earlier, but this is something that needs to be present in your website, right? So you should be very clear about how your customers, once they reach your website, are directed through your website in a way that they find a lot of value, in a way that they provide necessary information to you so you can reach out to them, and ultimately they go and buy your services and your products. Obviously, as a business, that's the main goal, right? So you need to really focus on the sales funnel which runs on your website, and that's something that many people don't do, right? So make sure that that aspect is covered. And website listings basically in areas where you'll get more visibility. Your website gets more visibility for people who are searching for related services from your site, right? And then the third aspect obviously is social media. But this has to be a two-way conversation, right? The whole idea about social media is that you're actually reaching, or you're trying to reach your potential customers directly in their inbox, right? So you need that conversation happening. You need people to start engaging with that content, engaging with you as a business, as a travel and tourism business, for example. You need to have your potential travelers interested in knowing more about your services, interacting with you, asking you for questions, and you in turn need to provide that value to them where, you know, hopefully at some point in time they know this travel agency or this business is very good because I get a lot of additional benefit by going and interacting with them, not just in terms of actual travel or tour packages, but also in terms of what I could buy there, what are the precautions the traveler needs to take when he's going to that part of the world, etc. So I'm just giving it to you in brief, but then that's the kind of content that needs to go through your social channel, and you need to have a conversation there, right? So you need someone to manage your social channels for you, right? So many of you might think, let me just do my own Facebook and let me just do my own Insta, for example. But there has to be a particular thought process behind that. There has to be a strategy, because at the end of the day, you want your social channels to work for you, right? So if you're using, for example, Facebook, you need your target audience to start responding to you via Facebook, right? Via the content that you're sending out. You have forum management. Again, that's a community of people that you're trying to build with similar interests in your business and services. And what forum management means is you need someone who is out there, who's always answering your potential customers' questions and whatever queries they have related to, you know, the travel industry, related to destination marketing, where they're talking about which places they want to go, how best they can reach there. You can provide them a lot of value add in that particular forum. And the forum doesn't necessarily have to be directly related to the kind of packages that you're providing as a tourism business, but it's more in terms of adding value, right? So people will ask a lot of other questions about what's the temperature in that particular country if I go now. So you should be able to have someone who's managing that forum and addressing those kind of questions. And that's how hopefully your potential travelers start asking more questions. They find this forum to be of big value to them. And ultimately, because of this forum, they also get to know the kind of services that you're providing, what kind of travel packages that you provide. And, you know, hopefully they get interested in actually developing that loyalty and trust, and they may just go and buy those packages from you. Right, so that's the main focus of forum management. Community management, again, is you're building a community around people of similar interests. Then you need to have something called content calendar. So when we're talking about all this content which needs to go out through your different social channels, you need this strategy to be in place right in the beginning of every calendar month, right? So you would actually sit down with calendars, you know, let's say from Monday to Sunday for the month of July, and you have to really think through in terms of your strategy. You have to create that particular content, the creatives, everything in place, and that has to be strategically placed and shared throughout that calendar month of July across your blogs, your website, your social channels, and that has to be done consistently, right? That's why you have a content calendar in place. And this is very important because if you do that properly, you've basically thought through your strategies in place, you work the content, you also know how that data is going to be shared or the content is going to be shared for your business. And you will also be able to make certain adjustments, because when you start sharing content on social channels at different days, on different days, different timings, and to certain target audiences, after a point in time, you'll be able to gather a lot of insights in terms of data as to what is the best time you should be sharing this particular content with your target audience. Best time, by that I mean, is when people actually open up and they actually read through your content, they like it, they comment, they share. So you will get a whole bunch of data around this. What time works for you? What content is performing, not performing for you? What kind of content is very successful for you? And you may think about reposting that content probably in the next month. So it gathers more, engagement with others who may be interested in that content. So there's a lot of analysis that goes behind all of this content which is going out, and it's a continuous process. It's not like you've decided that you're sharing that content and that's it. You need to really, really evaluate on an ongoing basis as to what is working for you, what's not working for you, tweak, make those changes, make sure that it starts getting that engagement that you're looking for in your business. You have handovers, and then you have turns. So these are typical aspects of social media that you should be taking care of. So before I end this particular webinar, I've hopefully covered critical aspects of how digital marketing would work as an overall strategy for your tour and tourism business, and what are the various aspects that you need to take care of while devising this digital marketing strategy for your business. So please make sure that as a business, you start focusing on digital marketing. If you do it in a very scientific and systematic manner, you would be able to definitely reach people all around the world who are really interested in your particular services or common interests, and get them more engaged, give them that value to the extent that they start developing greater trust and they build a loyalty over a period of time. And then believe me, if you get this right, you're going to get a lot of customers online who are going to come up to you and ask you for your services. So hopefully I've given you a quick gist into what digital marketing means for a tour travel agency. In fact, for that matter, any business which has an online perspective in terms of their strategy, and that's something everybody has to look into. So with that, if you need to contact us, please do reach out and email us at this particular email ID. And I'd like to thank you all for having taken some time to come over for this webinar series. And do give us a shout out and give us your comments as to how you liked it. And if you'd like to hear more from us, do reach out. Thank you so much for your time and have a great day. Bye-bye.